Welcome back to my channel, Simplified English 101. Today we will be talking about the short story Emma by Carolyn Cole. We are going to be focusing on characters and characterization in the story. If you are new to my channel, please remember to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe. Let's get right into it. In this story, you are going to meet 7 characters. They are Emma, Jack, Dorian York, Granddaddy, Ruby, Maria, and the lady at the train station. The characters in the story are crucial to the development of the plot and the thematic concern. The truth is, without any one or two of these characters, the story would not have unfolded the way it did. Possibly, the story might not have been as interesting as it was. It is therefore important that we understand who the main characters are and what they want, as well as who the minor characters are and the role they play in the development of the story. For us to be able to do so, we must understand the types of characters that exist in literature. A few of them are the protagonist, the antagonist, dynamic characters, round characters, flat and static characters, foil characters, and stock characters. Though we might not meet all of these characters in this particular story, it is always beneficial that as readers we understand our characters, the types of characters they are, and the traits they will show. Let's go right into meeting our first character. Who are the major characters and what are their roles? The first character that you will meet in the story is Dorian York. She's only 8 years old and she loves and admires her mother and grandfather. She wants to be exactly like her mother. She enjoys playing, like a typical 8-year-old child. She enjoys the company of her grandfather. Though Dory narrates the story, she doesn't fully understand the adult world and the games they play. Dorian York can be described as a round character. Dorian is important to the story because 1, she is the narrative voice, and 2, she is a child narrator. A child narrator that makes the story that she tells us even more interesting, believable, and dramatic. Though she is a child, she is very involved in and interested in the adult world. And we see this in the way she narrates what she sees and hears innocently. As a character, we can describe her as one of, yes, the main character, and 2, a round character. As a round character, or round characters, typically tend to add to the story. In Dory's sake, as a round character, she contributes the most in making the story interesting. Characters like these, round characters like Dory, can be seen as subtle and can change if necessary in the face of conflict. However, we did not see any changes in Dory. One would expect that as the narrative voice of the story and the main character within the story, she would have been a dynamic character, right? But not in this case, not in this story. As a round character, we see Dory as realistic. We see characters like Dory, round characters like her, in our daily lives. Children like Dory, who are exposed to and affected by the choices adults make. though they do not understand it, they will innocently detail all events that they see and hear. Sometimes they tend to share too much. Sometimes what they share can be distorted. However, Dory is a perfect round character. Without Dory, we would not get to understand the conflicts that exist between the characters, both major and minor. The conflict that exists between her mother and father. We would not get to see Jack as a player, a true player. We would not get to see the intimate details behind closed doors between her parents. We would not get to understand why Maria is the way she is when she goes home and returns to play. So Dory's role within the story is crucial, of utter importance. Let's move on to another character, Emma York. Emma, the wife of Mr. York and mother of Dory. She's a friend to Ruby Robinson. She's a good mother who treats Dory well. She plays with her always and caters to Dory's every need. She is a good and a faithful wife who clearly loves her husband. This can be seen when she waits for him in the middle of the night and plays game with Dory, looking at the clock and looking out the window. She seems to be selfless as she puts the needs of others before her own. This can also be seen when she refuses to have another child because she knows and understands how Jack feels about children. Through the narrative voice and the conversation between Emma and Mrs. Robinson, we get to understand how selfless Emma is. Because according to Mrs. Robinson, Emma gave up a lot to be with this man. Isn't that selfless? She appears smart, educated, and well-polished. No wonder the children really want to be like her. She's kind and loving, and this is seen in the way she interacts with not only her husband and her friends, but the children. Emma York can be described as a round character. Though she is the story's protagonist, she is seen as a round character. Similar to Dory, she contributes a lot. Rather, let me take that back. She contributes the most in making the story interesting as the events are built around her life and about her. Emma has not changed. Typically, we do not get to see the changes of round characters, though they are fully developed. Like Emma, like Dora rather, if given the opportunity, Emma possibly would have changed. But that was cut short by her untimely death. However, Emma was able to make the story more believable, as through her we can recognize behaviors and personalities of people in real life. Isn't that true? Don't we know a lot of Emmas out there? Women who are wives and mothers and friends, who do everything, carry a full basket, yet they find themselves stuck in situations, unable to change because of life circumstances. Carolyn Cole developed Emma as a perfect round character, since as the readers, we are not only intrigued about her complexities, but intrigued by her surprising actions. Additionally, Emma is not just relatable. She's not just created as a real character, but Emma is memorable, even after her death. Now that's around character. Let's move on. Jack York, the man of the moment. In Jamaica, they call him the girls them sugar. Let's find out some more about Jack. Jack is Emma's husband and friend. Jack is also Doris' father. He's described as a cheater or a player. In the Caribbean, we have so many words for men like those, but we're going to leave it until another day. Jack is seen as handsome and wealthy. He doesn't have a good relationship with his child, Dory. One would think that as a father with a daughter, an only child, you would have a good bond with your only child, a daughter. But that is not the case for Jack. He's not seen as a good role model for Dory. He doesn't want to be bothered and burdened with the role of being a father. And even 8 years after Dory's birth, he is still not prepared to play the role of a father to Dory. As a character, Jack is also a round character. The events are built around him, and all the events seem to be created because of his infidelity. His actions as a player are inevitable and unpredictable. Really, in real life, as a round character, and we know many Jacks out there in real life, Jack is a real player. Jack is a player. Though Jack remains the same throughout the story and is seen as a round character, his beliefs are seen as static. As he refuses to grow into the role of father or a father figure for Dory. And he refuses to be a loyal husband for Emma. Instead, he lives up to his name as a player, cheating on Emma while she was alive, and then getting in an entanglement with her best friend after her death. Jack is messy. Jack's role is important because through him, we get to understand and see the behind the scenes of what happens in a marriage, the real dirt. We get to see what happens in a friendship between man and woman or between a woman and a woman. We get to see the behind the scenes between a parent and child relationship, especially when infidelity is integrated into that. Because of Jack, we can get to understand that relationships as we see them are not always what they seem behind closed doors. Let's move on. Maria Robinson, another child within the story. She's only 9 and is the daughter of Ruby Robinson. She's only 1 year older than Dory. She's Dory's friend and playmate. She can be temperamental. 1 minute, she is kind and loving to Dory, and then with a switch, she's aggressive and angry and cruel. She acts more mature than her age, and Maria actually helps Dory to understand the adult world and the games they play. She is Dory's confidant. Like Dory, she loves Emma and wants to be just like her and not like her mother. Isn't that weird? She can be considered as a round character. She displays all the qualities of a round character. However, by the end of the story, we have seen some sort of change in Maria that one could now say she is also and could also be seen as a dynamic character. As a character, Maria would be seen as round in the sense that she adds to the events of the story and through Dory's voice helps to make it, of course, interesting. Though Maria is seen more as a round character, she could be described as dynamic by the very, very end of the story. A dynamic character can show how life and its experiences, especially detrimental experiences, can change or build a character or a person. And we know that. Situations in life sometimes force us to change, and we now move from a round character to a dynamic character. As a character that is not yet fully dynamic, or changes can be considered or geared towards the development of the plot rather than personal growth, or vice versa. Since we are unaware and did not see her person or physical growth and did not really see much personal growth, it's hard to label her as a dynamic character. However, the growth we saw at the end, where she plays the role of Emma, that maternal figure to Dory, is a change. Maria moved from being aggressive and angry and even sometimes violent to Dory, to kind and loving and maternal, reading to Dory the same stories Emma would, playing the very same games Emma would, reenacting the same things she would if Emma was alive. Also, by the last part of the story, we hear Maria making a promise to herself and Dory that when it is their time to play, they will play differently. This not only tells us that Maria could be seen as a dynamic character, but also clearly Maria has learned a lesson. Maria has been forced to change because of the situation or the conflict that exists. And as such, some sort of change must have taken place in Maria for her to realize that Emma played the game incorrectly and she refuses to be like Emma. And also, she refuses to let Dory play the game the way Emma played. Remember, students, that for a character to be a dynamic character, there must be some sort of change. Whether the change is dynamic or grandeur, or whether it's minute, a change is a change. And for a child, a change like that is a change, isn't it? Now, these are the reasons why I consider Maria to be a dynamic character. Maria's role in the story is important. It's important because we can now assume, based on the changes that Maria has made by the end of the story, that she will help Dory to not share the same faith as Emma. As such, we, the readers, who see round characters as real life persons and are fascinated by the changes that dynamic characters make, we now have a sense of relief knowing that Dory did not only inherit the joker in the card pack she took from her mother, but would not inherit the same fate, possibly because of Maria. Knowing this as readers, understanding why Maria was forced to make this change or imply that she would change, makes us know that the story is not just realistic, but adds to the dramatic appeal of it. The woman of the moment, Ruby Robinson. She's Emma's friend and Maria's mother. She's very impatient with the children and quite unkind to her only child, Maria. Her husband clearly left her to be a single mother, and she considers her husband to be a player, like Jack. She is jealous of Emma and makes it known how she feels about Jack, Emma's husband. She, like Jack, does not care to deal with the burden of being a parent. She provides Emma with clues about her marriage, and she does so in a critical, sarcastic, and cruel manner. As a character, we can consider her or describe her to be Emma's foil pair. A foil character usually plays the opposite of the protagonist. Ruby is seen as nasty, mean, and contrasting to Emma in all ways. In this particular story, as a foil character, Ruby's role is to help us better understand why the other characters do what they do. Her role is to help us explain the relationship between the protagonist and the antagonist. Her role is to help us understand the traits and attributes and motivations of the other characters, especially the protagonist. And she did that, didn't she? Ruby, therefore, is the perfect foil pair to Emma or for Emma in that, one, according to Dory, Emma is pretty. Ruby, not so much. Emma is kind. Ruby is selfish. Emma is thoughtful. And Ruby is inconsiderate and calculating. Emma is gentle. Ruby is aggressive. And the list goes on and on and on. No wonder Dory wants to be like Emma and nothing like Ruby. Now that we have looked at all the major characters, let us look at the minor characters. The question is, who are the minor characters and what are their roles? Similar to the major characters, the minor characters play an important part. For example, Granddaddy. He's Emma's father and Dory's grandfather. He lives on a farm. He is aware of Jack's infidelity and he remains quiet about it. He has a good relationship with Dory for the most part, and he enjoys spending time with her. When he actually visits, he spends more time with Dory than his own child. He appears smart and can be described as a static character. Why static, though? As a static character, he does not change. Typically, static characters do not change. Granddaddy appears charismatic, like some static characters. Static characters' role in a story is to highlight the protagonist's complex personality traits. Granddaddy did exactly that for Emma. A static character, as Granddaddy is, we see that because of him, we now wonder, why did Emma take the things she took from Ruby? The disrespect, the way Ruby talked about her husband and wanting her husband in front of her face. Because of Granddaddy, we also get to wonder, why would Emma take the treatment Jack gave to her? Since, according to Dory and Granddaddy, Emma is smart. So Granddaddy's role in the story is important. Last but not least, the lady at the train station. She is Jack's mistress. She is unnamed throughout the entire story, like most mistresses are. She looks nothing like Emma. Dory says she is the opposite of Emma. She can be described as either flat or a static character. Let us look at why. As a flat character, as a static character rather, we know one and two things about her. She's Jack's mistress. She is always at the train station. That's where they meet. She wears a lot of cologne. Few things. However, as a flat character, she can easily be described by using one word. In the Caribbean or in Jamaica, a woman who is a mistress, is called a matey or a side chick. One word. Isn't that? They are usually opposites to the round character. Clearly, based on Dory, she's opposite to Emma. A flat character really undergoes no change at all. The way they enter the story is the way they leave the story. Unknown, unknown, unknown. As a flat character, she lacks the necessary backstory. The truth is, we know nothing about this woman. She isn't meant to be taken seriously as a result. We have seen no complex emotions from her. Now, looking at characters in the short story, Emma, is important. Now that we have done that, get prepared for my next video when we will look at the narrative techniques used in the story. Until then, bye-bye.